This is That One Audition with Alyshia Ochse.
So this is something that you wanted to do and pursuing for fun, for free, and then decided to make it a career choice?
Yeah, that's a good question. For free, I always find that a little bit bizarre. Is that I almost feel we're doing that constantly to some degree, especially auditioning. But as in the potential to get work, which I think is what we do or how we live in general, is like the potential of making a living doing what we like to do. Firstly, I wanted to address something that you said at the beginning there
Yeah.
about the English having a reputation for all of these things, for being like really great. I don't know, to some degree, there's obviously amazing British actors, but I think there's somewhat of a, I don't want to say it's a complete illusion, but I believe that to be here in America as well. There's amazing actors, and sometimes you can ride off the back of being, oh, you're English or you're Australian or you're like friends. So he must be good and stuff like that.
That's what I mean is we give credit to Brits and the Australians where they're like, they're just good. And it's a fertile
Yeah.
ground of respect where I feel like, and at least when I grew up and I was like, I want to be an actor. And they're like, oh, you think you're special? And you're like, No, I have this interest where I feel
Yeah.
like maybe this is my projection, but
Yeah.
in England, in Australia, it's, oh, you want to be an actor? Wonderful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You're going to be great. There's a great breeding ground. You can really study here. You can really figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, again, like it's funny. I listen, trust me, they like to knock you down a peg or two, I think, anywhere you are. And again, like what I say is that I feel no one really addresses this, or at least I haven't heard it. And I'm a little bit in the dark about most things, to be honest with you. But again, like I always think, okay, whether you're from England, whether you're from any country in the world, if you work hard and you're good at something, you're good at something. I think to some degree, I just think I don't want to say it's an illusion, but it's just this depiction of, because I don't know, the history or Shakespeare or other great playwrights and stuff like that, that we somewhat are just naturally good at it. But I
Yes.
don't know. I don't know. I'm always fascinated by that. And I've always been fascinated when I first came to America by how people perceive that. But I remember going into rooms and wondering, okay, do I go in as English and then put the American on, and then it's like, oh wow, he can do that. Or, oh no, I could see that you're not, because I think sometimes 50% of it is like if someone believes you are from that place and you haven't shown them otherwise, then that's a lot of your work done already.
Then
Um,
because that's where I was curious about. Did you
yeah.
start doing theater? And I know you did Hollyoaks, which is great, like a BBC soap, essentially, right?
Channel 4, yeah, yeah, Channel 4. So that was where I got started there. Like you were saying at the beginning, I didn't come from any acting background whatsoever. The closest thing I had to it was my mum worked in a hotel in London, and the guy who owned the hotel was a playwright. Don't want to say it was just his hobby, but it was his main job was obviously running the hotel. But he would put on these plays or translate Lope de Vega plays from Spanish to English and put them on. And I would go and do these. I was like an apprentice to him for some time. And anytime an actor wouldn't turn up, I would do the read through for the play or anything like that. And an agent in London, a guy called Andrew Manson, I don't think the agency is no longer around. What really wonderful guy. He met me and he saw something. He was like, "Hey, can I put you up for stuff and stuff like this?" And this is not my world. I don't do this. And like any actor I was meeting, I was like, "Gosh, like they seem like a pain in the ass, to be honestly."
Mhm.
And I went along with it one time, and it was for a commercial, and I got it, and then I couldn't do it because I went for another one which was for Hollyoaks, and I went up to Liverpool at the time, and I got it. It was really odd. Like the whole process was really strange. They would just send people home, a huge group of people, and then just send you, all right, read out names. You guys can go home. And then I was still there at the end, and I realized that there was one girl that I think they wanted to hire, or they did hire, and she was the only one that looked like me. We looked alike, and it was to play her brother. And I believe that I genuinely got that because I was the person who closely resembled her to play her brother. And
Ah, And
So
that's how it started? Because I made
yeah,
assumptions you went to maybe RADA or you were training and all this,
that's
and
the
you brought us
assumption. No,
in.
that's the assumption. I guess that's why I'm like a little bit like I know that there's a kind of the breeding ground, the great drama schools of the UK, and they're amazing. And some degree, I wish I had that opportunity to have spent that time there too. But I'd probably be a different actor to some degree. I fell into
It's
it. Yeah.
working, whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
It's like
thanks, thanks.
It's the Jennifer Lawrence thing where you're like, people are like, don't touch it.
Right.
Don't give her any other technique. Don't do anything. Just let her
Just let her be.
do
Yeah,
what she
yeah.
does. This is where I was going to start. And now I love hearing that you have built it as you have with your own instincts. We have a common
Right.
friend, Keith
We do?
Carvel. Yes, we
Oh, Keith. I
do.
love Keith.
And I was
Yeah.
researching you this the last couple of days, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Keith seems to pop up a lot. So I was like, hey, tell me a little bit about Guy. He was like, he is the
No, no.
masterful auditioner. And I was like, great,
No,
tell me
really?
more. So he said, ask
Yeah.
about an audition that he helped
Right.
you with in
Yeah.
London, a particular audition in the apartment in London. Do you know what he's
What?
talking about?
I don't know what I don't know. Firstly, I'm surprised that you said it. I thought you just take the piss out of me the whole time. But oh man, there must have been something. Man, I feel terrible that I don't actually
Nope,
remember.
but I love that he remembers it. And for those that are listening, Keith, a
Yeah.
great producer, also
Great producer,
write,
great
directs as
guy.
well. You did a
Yeah.
beautiful now with him, right? And then you
Oh
just,
yeah, yeah. We did a beautiful now, and then we just
yeah,
did the
the
Beast.
Beast as well.
Yeah, we did that. You know what? I think I traumatized a lot of people.
When you do
Um,
auditions with
yeah,
them.
and so he obviously remembers that. It's true. I genuinely think I have
Oh,
traumatized
why do you
people.
think you traumatize people with the auditions? What is
It's
your process?
Oh man, I think it goes through different over the years. It's gone through different phases, and obviously there was a time when it was only in person,
Mhm.
and then the evolution into kind of taping. And that for me, the change that for me, time my manager in New York, she had seen me in a play and then took me on, and she was like, "Look, you're gonna have to really work your ass off here. You're gonna." And I had no life, and I really mean that genuinely. She was like, she would call me at 3, 4 in the morning. What are you doing? Are you this? Are you tape? I would go into the room to audition, and then I would have to go home and tape the audition that I went in the room to do, so she could analyze what I had done. Yeah, look, in hindsight, when I look back on it, like she changed my whole perspective on it and the hard work. But it went too far. Like
Okay, I was gonna
yeah.
ask. Okay, so she saw you in a play, took you on. Are you still working with her in New York?
No, I'm not. But like we still are good pals, and as you do when you're younger, or like throughout your time, sometimes you make choices to move on, or your eyes get lit up by an opportunity here. Maybe that's a better. And hindsight is an amazing thing, and I can look back on it and go, she deserves all the plaudits. Anytime I get something, a lot of the time I think of her and I go, I wish she could enjoy this, or I wish we could. She's a wonderful person. She can be a pain in the arse, but she's brilliant.
Sounds like she took you to the school of auditioning,
She
right?
took me to the school of auditioning, and her clients are her kids. She didn't have me, and she would push and push and push. And in the terms of taping, it was really before anybody was doing it, but she
Mhm.
saw it coming, and she would enforce this rigorous discipline of perfection. And I think I just drove it. I just drove it to the max. I remember like my girlfriend at the time, like she's an actress too, and we had a room in the house. This is purely for acting purposes, but it was called the torture chamber.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I swear.
Yes.
And, and we knew like all right, we're gonna do this. And when I say that we would spend days in there, we'd do 8 hours for one audition, maybe take a break, go back to it, and then watch it and hate it, and then go back the next day, we'd do it for 4 or 5 days sometimes until it was that. And then we'd pretend to our reps and we pretend to whoever, like the cast, that, oh, this was just one take. This is what we did. And it was torturous. We would drive each other insane.
I think now in the land of self-taping, there
Yeah.
is that you can drive yourself mad where you can't just go in the room, hit it,
Yeah.
turn around, leave.
Yeah.
You can't just be an actor anymore that's just showing up and acting. You really do need to know how to frame, how to punctuate, how to light, how to do it all. So I'm curious, your manager that was
Mm.
really harping on you, was it more technical stuff since you were coming from theater that she was
Yeah.
helping you, or was it literally moment to moment
You know what?
critique?
It's so interesting doing this with you because I didn't. This actually stuff now I'm thinking about the kind of idea of auditioning, the difference between auditioning and actually
Being
being
on
on
set.
set and
Yeah.
working. And look, we can get to that and stuff like that. And I'm sure you've spoken to plenty of people who have their own experiences with that as well. But it's so odd. No, hers was like she had this technique where she would close her eyes and not watch it and listen to it and go, no, or yeah, or no, that's no, you're doing it again. What are you? Or she would see your habits. Like I could do something with my mouth. She would say something with my mouth, and I just didn't understand what she was talking about. And I realized over time I just couldn't relax my jaw area because I was feeling so tense. But the technical aspect is something there's also look that I've is fascinating because if I have friends who want to tape or something like that, and I no longer am in the torture business, so I'm a believer in just a rawness. Here's a little piece of me, of my soul, and or whatever I think it is, and if you guys relate to, or if it's something that interests you, then let's keep talking, let's keep moving forward. And so I'm not like it's just evolved so much. At the very beginning, I remember it was like Boardwalk Empire or something like this when that first, I did an audition. I remember reading it and going, wow, man, this would be great. I would love this. And I remember my mate is a director and he'd bring his camera and then we went in the streets and we were doing it in the streets and acting it out in the streets. And then other auditions I was doing, I was like, making a fucking film, man. We would just do it and we'd film the scenes. And some people would like it and some people would hate it. And then I auditioned once for this French actress, Melanie Laurent, who also
Oh,
directs. Yeah, Melanie's great. And she said to me something. I think there's two things that changed my approach. And one was Melanie, where she was like, Guy, this is fancy. She goes, but what is this mise en scène? Like, why are you mise en scène? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, mise en scène. And I was like, oh. And I guess it was just like I'd created too much. I had the cigarette and then, everything would be handheld and then I'd go to the ground and I'd be like, fucking actor wanker. And from that moment, I was like, oh shit, she's right. It's just, be raw. My manager now, like we get into discussion, she's like, why are you wear a suit for that? I'm like, I'm not wearing no suit. I'm not dressing as a cat. I'm putting a t-shirt or whatever I'm wearing that day. Let's just put it, look at, and let's read it and then see what comes out. So that's like the evolution of it.
no, I'm
Oh,
actually, I was literally getting ready to say, this is fantastic to
oh,
see somebody. I think that this is where we get our hours in now. Actor
right.
now with
Totally.
self-tapes, whereas before, when you and I were coming up, I was also the same. They wouldn't see me in certain rooms, so I'd have to go make a tape. But that was
Mhm.
my hours of understanding camera. Okay, this is too much. I'm serving way too much versus the basic scene. Like you have to put in those reps and hours. Some people get it on set. I also got it on set a little bit where I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
doing too
yeah.
much. Do a little
Yeah.
up, do a little up. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
bring it back.
We have to have a basis of learning. If you're not going to conservatory, but even the conservatories, I don't think really set you up for television and film. And that's why I was
Yeah.
so excited to talk to you about your process. Because for me, looking at your resume,
Yeah.
you hit a couple of offices that really set up your whole entire career. And I don't know if you've ever done this kind of walk through.
No, I
I get
haven't.
to put the pieces together.
Yeah, go on
For
then.
me, I was like, what the hell did he do? 2015, all of a sudden, we couldn't get enough of you. I
What
wanted to hear
happened?
about John. You meet John Popsadera.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I want to hear about your audition. Did Ray Donovan come first, or was
Okay.
it the film with Johnny Depp and Gwyneth Paltrow and Ewan
Yeah.
McGregor?
Yeah.
Because then when we plant seeds and we like nail it with certain casting directors, you only need one or two casting directors to be in your corner to create a career. But you took jobs up to that point, and I feel
Yeah.
like in 2015, this became a
Yeah.
career for you. And that's where I was like, what did he start doing in the audition process? So that was what I was so curious about. I love hearing that you had a
Yeah.
manager still at that time, I'm assuming, that was
Yeah.
beating it to death. And John Papsdar is in LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was any of these on tape?
Okay. Okay. If there's one defining, if there's one man that took me from, I don't want to say obscure, it's because it's like, who the fuck am I? How do I put this? He's a very special human being, I think. And at the time, he saved me, I want to say, from just fucking it all off. And what happened was, it's funny you bring him up. I would have brought him up because I remember at the time with that manager, her name is Myrna. I should name her because she's wonderful. And I just said to her, look, we were like, it's not like a beating a dead horse. It just felt it was like, and I felt like we weren't going out. It's like, I can't take it no more. And she was like, no, you got to carry on this and that. And I was like, I'm out here, man. I'm going back to London. And she got me a day before I flew to London. She got me a general with Paps.
She did.
Yeah.
That
She
you had to
managed to
come
get
to
me.
LA or that you were able to
I
do?
was in LA. I lived in LA for some time. I came to New York, and so you know, like the kind of we're all over the place. Like we
Okay.
said, we would be at the beginning. There's
Yeah.
no kind of so we'll come back to this. But when I came initially, I came to New York. Came then went into LA, which was for my first audition, which was for Scott Boland and Victoria Burrows. Lovely
I
people
love
too.
them. Mhm.
Love them. And I got in and I came in for it was for they had a Beatles project that never went, it was Robert Zemeckis thing. And I came in as George Harrison, and they were like, "You no, this guy bring him back as Paul McCartney." And they brought me back, and they bring me back, and because of that, it was the first time that I ever witnessed what it meant to have a little bit of what's it, moment or heat? What do they call it? Whatever
Yeah,
something
I call it
pretentious and stupid,
relevancy. Like you gotta,
relevancy,
yeah, or all of a
which
sudden
is
they're
kind of
like,
saying,
oh, he might
yeah.
be Paul McCartney in this, and then every casting director's like, I need to see him.
Yeah, and then suddenly every manager or like they're like, oh, is he gonna get it? Because I want to be the. And I was like, oh my God, like this, what is this? This is the Hollywood thing that they talk about, and it got me my. I remember my visa. I remember getting the visa at the time because of it, and wanting to be in America, getting a little taste. I'm going, oh wow, this is. If it genuinely felt like the land of opportunity. And I'll come back to what my experience was in the UK just before making that decision, because I think it's relevant to this. It's just that in America, I felt like you had the opportunity to go in the room. It didn't matter your schooling, your socio-demographic. It didn't matter what projects you had done before, whether you were in TV shows or a soap or anything like this. It just was like, you're going to get in the room in America and then you bring it and you better do it. And to me, I could justify that philosophy rather than no, stay in your lane mentality, which for me at the time. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to hate it. I'm going to come to America. I'll try that and then try and come home and do whatever. I try and do it that way. I couldn't just do it the kind of regular route that I think many probably British actors and people abroad take. But Paps, I'm going to tell you where Paps comes into this. I was just like, that film never went. And then time passes and I had that manager in New York and I was in LA and I was just done. I didn't want to I was like, this is just driving me insane and just go home with the tail between my legs and just go, look, I gave it a try, even though I didn't want to give up on it. And I liked the America lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. I was like, nah, this is nuts. I've run out of money. I've run out of everything. She gets me this general with Paps. I go and see him. And I meet him and I'm in he probably doesn't know this 100%. I was just not in a dark place, but just in a place of just, fuck it all. And for one reason or another, I can't explain it. He understood something or he saw something and he was like, I get this. I know what this, and I was like, you do? And he's like, yeah, I do. Wait there. And then he left the room and then there was some project that they had already cast that he was like, you need to go and meet the director. He sent me to meet the director. And then I got on with the director. And then he had called up the manager, was like going, this guy and all, and that then motivated that, and it was all Paps. And then I flew still to London because I ran out of dough. Like I had to go back to London, and then so I went back and back to living with my mum, and then I got a call saying, "Hey, you want to? There's an audition for Mordecai for the that Johnny Depp film." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Okay, I'll do it." And that one I shot in London, and I did it a little bit mise en scène. Like I did it, I took a risk, and I also improvised a bunch of it. There was like these four scenes, and then it was it was a bit Peter Sellers in a sense, like I was like hiding behind a door and then carrying like this, and then doing it, and then grounding it in place. I don't know, but I took a bit of a risk with it. Pat's loved it. He's like he responds to creativity. He's an artist. He collects art. He writes. He's an artist. And if you read in the room at his art, he's there. And he's not saying I'm an actor, but he has great rhythm and he wants you to succeed and you feel it. But this tape, he sends it off to David Kett. And
Real quick, before you go
yeah.
further, when you say I took a bit of a risk for
Right.
actors are like, what do you mean? Is that just because you improv'd or how you shot it? Like you weren't shooting it just in front of a gray background. You were actually, like you
No.
said, boots on
Yeah.
ground, going a little bit,
Yeah. I
making a little
shot
short
it.
film.
Yeah, I have that tape somewhere. It's my mum. So my mum worked in a very old-fashioned hotel, and I used one of the rooms, which like with just like crazy props in there. And when I say props, I didn't like you. It was like there was like a sliding wooden door from like the 1800s or some shit like this. And then I'd go, oh, I could just do this here and do that there. And I was creative, and
And it fits for that movie too. That's
it
also
fits for
like,
that film. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then I let it go. And I thought, all right, let's see what happens. And I remember I went to the theatre. I was at the Trafalgar Theatre in London. I went to see a play. And I remember going out after the first act. I think it was like, yeah, there was a break. And then went outside. I think I was smoking a cigarette, smoked it. And then this couple came up to me, really lovely people, and they were like, "Oh, you used to be on Hollyoaks and stuff like that." And I was like, "Yeah, how you doing?" They were like, "Oh, cool, cool. Where'd you go? What did you end up?" And I was, by the way, I still get, I was like, "What happened?" And then, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I tried out. I went to them, I tried it," and they were like, "Oh, okay, good luck to you," and stuff like this. And I was like, "Thanks." Went back in. And then when the play finished, I came out and I had 5 missed calls off the manager. I was like, "Yo, what's going on?" She's like, "Guy, you got it. You're going to do the film with Johnny, Gwyneth Paltrow, and you know all this." And I just dropped to my knees at the time, and I couldn't believe it. It was like a lifeline. Okay, all right, let's carry on for a bit longer. And I see the couple. I remember the couple coming out, and I said, "Hey," excuse me. They're like, "What?" And I'm like, "They're like, you're right, you're right." I said, "Hey, do you remember you asked me like what I've done?" I said, "Hey, I just got this film and this," and they were like, "What?" That's so, you know, it was such a sweet like moment that I won't forget. And really, I say that because it's down to perhaps Adara as well. His belief in me made me believe in me again, and I think there was a
Mm.
possibility, and then giving you an opportunity, and then taking that opportunity. So it came together in that way.
I had a feeling. I'm so glad I started there because I was like, I
Yeah.
don't know what. Because then you do Ray Donovan, which also Paps does as well.
Also, yeah,
Did you throw that down as a tape as well? And I'm just
yeah,
curious from television and film,
yeah.
did you go full risk ahead for Donovan as well, or did you shoot like regular? Do you
Risk
ever
ahead in
shoot?
what sense? What do you mean?
Do you ever shoot just your basic, here I am sitting in a room? Are you always making a short film with your tapes for your auditions?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember Ray Don at that audition coming up. I did a tape. It was, man, I can't even really remember it. And then, but I remember getting a call back in the room with the showrunner, that David Hollander at the time was showrunner, and Paps was in there. And I turned up in like like an Adidas like shell suit, which was not the character. It was like some rich kid but I thought this would be interesting.
Yeah.
And I did it, and I felt quite confident at the time. I remember like thinking, I know perhaps I feel like I'm good for this. And I went in there, and I think I remember David Hollander was like saying, like, "You're the guy. You're the guy. I'm gonna," and he goes, "Just this, don't, this is not how the character's gonna dress though, right?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know, it's up to you, do whatever, however." And I was like, "Yeah, no, of course not. I just was comfy, so I wore that." And that's what I remember from that at the time. And then I didn't hear anything. And then at the premiere for Mordecai, Kim and Deanna, who worked at Paps's office at the time, I'm not sure if they're still there, but they saw me at the premiere. They were sat right near me and they were like, "Congrats on Ray." And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Oh, nothing." And I was like, "Yeah, man." Like, that's how I found out that I actually got it,
And
because
is
they
that
were
how we
here.
got to keep you then in America? I know you're in New York now,
Yes.
but this is where you decide to stay and land for a
Yeah,
little bit.
definitely. That kept me here, and which made me happy. And I was in Los Angeles for a long period of time, and I loved my time in LA. But I always felt that my home. I'll probably go back to LA some, maybe again. I'm not sure, but New York was always, when I'd done the play here, I felt this is a good place for me. This is where I want to be. There's a world outside of the industry where I could just walk in the streets or thing like that. You feel more connected as an artist. I feel
As a
so weird
person,
saying
no, I feel the same. LA, you don't
right,
get
right.
that. You don't get that walking around bumping into
Yeah, you're in the
people.
car and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And just
yeah.
coming from London.
The TV and film landscape, it's constantly changing, but traditional actor training has largely remained the same.
It's focused on a theater model whose main goal is to help you stretch the expression of your instrument. That's why you can have years of training,
From scene study classes to audition classes.
to even an MFA, and still not be able to book a 2-line co-star.
That's why we created the Bridge for Actors.
A collection of tech, craft, and business online courses to teach you the skills that you need to go from a student of acting
To a working actor.
Okay, I know I'm going to jump all the way to Landman, but also
Jump.
Paps does Landman. So I always
yeah.
helping actors see you plant a seed that can bloom for decades, right? You're
Yeah.
in an office. So is Landman season 2, is that offer or do you make a tape?
Offer, and it didn't, that actually did, the seed wasn't from, look, the actual initial seed, obviously staying in America is Paps, and so that's the seed, the real seed.
Yeah.
But no, this one, this actually started in a really bizarre way.
I want to hear it.
we skipped a whole bunch here, so just so you know, the offer
Well, then
situation.
put me back. Yeah.
No, I don't mind doing that, but I just say that on the basis of the idea of just getting offers is such it's a privilege, and it's one that I don't take for granted. And I know there's actors who are doing big, who I know sometimes still have to tape and shit.
Yeah, I think it just
And I'm like,
depends. I think once you have a body of work around you, people can offer it because they can see it in something else or they've worked with you. Well,
Yeah.
offers don't come usually at the beginning of your career.
Yeah.
Look, we're talking about Ray Donovan and Mordecai. That was in 2015. That's 10 years ago. So 10
Yeah, yeah.
years of your work has
Crazy,
allowed,
yeah.
and people knowing you to be like, Landman, you want to come do this season with us?
Yeah, that happened. I won't get into all the details, but like this, because it's bizarre. But
Oh, but that's what we
again,
love on this show.
I know,
Save it.
and I shouldn't throw that in there without, but I will give you like basically what was going on for me at the time. Like it was at the beginning of this year. I was just like, again, funny that was 2000, that was 2015 that you were talking about, and then 10 years later, 2020, because I suddenly felt I was in a similar position as 2015. I'd lost myself again in what am I doing? What am I wanting to do here? Is this like what I want to do? And I think the whole idea of Hollywood and all of I was just like, fuck this, man. And the year before, like I was working quite a bit and the things were like, the trajectory was going to where I was hoping it would maybe get to, and I just then hit this bottom and I just didn't want to do it again. And there was stuff that was coming up, again, some offers, luckily enough for me, that I just said no to, that in hindsight, I'm like, oh, you idiot. But they were coming up for me and I just was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do
I
it.
was just going to ask, yeah, because from a business standpoint, why would you turn down certain ones? Or is it just roles that you had already been doing before? Was the money not there?
It's not the money. It wasn't the money per se. I've lived and survived somehow with zero at times, or minus whatever it might be. And if I can feed myself and I can live. By the way, is it pitch black in here? Can you even see
Behind
me?
you, but we can see your face.
Oh, all
Lovely.
right,
We're gonna find your light right there.
All right. And I don't know. But look, I just got to a place where it's also, if I was gonna, whatever I wanted to do next, I wanted it I just wanted it. I wanted to not just plateau in this one place. I wanted the next thing. I wanted to move forward. I felt like I want to give myself that opportunity. And other circumstances, life circumstances, which just made me go, fuck this shit. Like, I don't want it. A little bit dramatic, to be honest with you, as we can be. And not to involve you in this, but like,
No,
I can
we
be like,
absolutely can be.
okay.
I always say on this, we like ride the wave. You get a really high wave,
Exactly.
and then you get to shore, and you're like, fuck
I
this. I'm
know.
never gonna get a wave again. I
Yeah.
don't want to paddle out. I
Yeah.
like, and so
Totally.
I'm glad you're actually being forthcoming and
Well,
honest about this.
yeah, this is super honest, and I don't know if whether it's young actor or people wanting to like, because this part, there's a bit of luck to this, is that I'm in this zone. I've said no to a whole bunch of stuff. This is a crazy story. Not many people know this. And I would box in my teenage years. And I was like, fuck this, I'm going back to boxing. I'm like 40-year-old
You're gonna
man.
take
I guess I
amateur
do.
status to pro status. You're gonna have a full
I
career.
don't know what I was thinking. It's so silly. And I'm in the boxing gym one day, and this like gymmed out guy, like handsome guy, tanned, comes up to me and like whispering. I'm like, hey, and he's hey, and he's like, what are you doing this for? And I'm like, what do you mean? And I think, and he'd maybe seen me in a couple of things. I'm not sure. And then I was like, oh no, this is what I do now. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, all right, like that. I was like, the fuck is that? And then I get a text message from a director who I know. And he goes, hey, listen, I'm on this jet, and it's Taylor Sheridan's jet. And he's telling us about meeting you in a boxing gym. And I'm like, oh, that was him. And he goes, yeah. And I go, oh. And he was like, look, he finds you very interesting, would like to write for you this thing. And like he has this idea in mind. And so I text back going, hey, I'm really flattered. I think he's brilliant, but like this is not what I do anymore. This is literally the message that went back. And
Yeah.
the guy was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, man, no, I really appreciate it. This is nuts. And then I just said no. And then 2 months later, this is why I started an episode 4. It's like a couple of months later, man, I'm coming back to myself a little bit. I'm having this meeting, it's like 9:39, and he comes into a room in New York that I just happened to be in, of all places. And he's like, oh, there he is. There he is. And I'm like, oh, hey, man. And then he's like, you sit down. I was like, okay. And I sat down like in the booth next to me. He's listen, I wrote this role and it's a fucking good role. You're not saying no, all this kind of stuff. You're going to come and do this. And I was like, yeah, man, like and he's like, no, you do like who he basically like who the fuck am I to say? And it's true, who was I? But also it was I just didn't anyway. Taylor's he's just brilliant and he convinces you, and it's also him, like, and he's like, come with me to Texas and you're gonna do this. And I went to Texas, and then months, and I went and I did the show, and I really enjoyed doing it. I had a great time doing it. And because his writing is just it's like made for fucking actors. It's
Is an actor. That's why we
yeah,
started it.
it totally. And by
And
the
then
way,
then he coached actors. He coached
Jennifer
me
Lawrence,
at the beginning of my career. Yes.
he did, yeah, no
Yes.
shit.
He's been around forever.
I think
Yes.
he was the one, or at least I heard him great. He's the one who said to Jennifer Lawrence at the beginning, you were saying that she, whatever you're doing it, unless I'm mistaken, I'd heard that it was him that had said that to her while he was coaching her. I don't know, that's what I'd heard. You get these scripts and it's 8, 9 pages of the scene, and it's fluid and it's beautiful and it's easy and it's fuck, this is great. So I enjoyed doing that. I also heard later down the line that the director at the time, because Taylor tells the story from his perspective, and the director had actually didn't tell him what I had said, and had said to him, going, "Yeah, he's up for it," or like it was something like this, and then didn't hear anything, and then this, and then so we bumped into each other anyway. So that materialized in this bizarre way, which sometimes happens. And I go to myself, man, I just got lucky. But sometimes you also look at all the shit that you've built up to, all the stuff that you may have been right for and they said no, and all of that hard work. So sometimes that occurs if you have that perseverance with it.
Yeah, and you're not attached to an outcome anymore. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this, not your specific story, but stories of, I'm done. I'm so done.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
done for grabbing at it. I'm done
Yeah.
putting 6 hours into my self-tapes.
Yeah.
I'm tired of running around.
Yeah.
I should accept how far I've gotten and I surrender. And as
Yeah.
soon as people surrender, And I don't mean
Yeah.
surrendering at the beginning of your career when you don't have these 10,000 hours. You had 10,000
Yeah.
hours at that
Right.
surrender point. You've gotten to do
Yeah.
so much. You've gotten to go from show to show to many different
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah.
To say I surrender, it's funny how the universe goes. I
Yeah.
look at this industry as like a really bad toxic relationship. And the moment that you're like, you know what? I'm fucking done with you. It's, oh, hold on, guy, we
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
you. We've
And they're like,
never
what,
wanted you
you don't
more.
want us?
What
Don't
do
no,
you
you don't want me?
mean?
Okay. Now I
I'm
want you.
now I want you more. I'm so
Yeah,
glad you shared that story. And that's just part of there's a couple other audition stories that I would love to ask
of course.
specifically.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, I do think you've already told, but what is that one audition for you? Or have you already told it?
Oh, wait, so that's the idea of the show here is that
Yeah.
one audition.
There's many
Um,
that shape a career. We just got to see, I really
yeah,
think that whole Papsadera line,
that really is the one
it is the
that
one.
changed things. I think so. And there was, listen, by the way, there was people along the way that really I was lucky enough did believe in me. A bunch of them, and I don't want to miss anyone out. Like the Kerry Bardens was like great.
That was my
I
other
love
person who
him.
was circled. Pitch
Um,
Perfect 3, and then
yeah,
also
Jessica
Hand of
Kelly. She was
God.
really,
And whenever you seem to
yeah.
strike gold, you hit it twice. Have you noticed that, Carrie Barden? You get Pitch
Oh
Perfect
yeah.
3 and
Hand
then
of
Hand
God.
of
Oh yeah,
God
yeah,
at
yeah.
the same year. Which one came
Yeah.
first from Carrie?
I think it was Hand of God. I think I can't remember going in the room there and I don't know what had happened to me that day, but I remember having this confidence about me. Like I can get very nervous and question myself and it's like auditioning, is it really a reflection of what you're going to end up doing? It's so bizarre, man. It's like a skill within itself. And like, it's even Keith saying that I'm good at auditioning. There's some kind of offense that I take to it because I go to myself like going, well, yeah, you got to perfect that to certain degrees or not. But then if you show up and you're not doing it, and sometimes I watch myself and I go, I'm shit. And then I go, I think even one time I got told once, I go, your audition was better than what you're doing. I remember being told that, fucking hell, it took away my confidence. I also got told once, I was like going, well, you're a leading man. I don't know. No, maybe we got I've been like shit like that. That's like horrible to hear. And then somehow you got to pick yourself up and go,
Mhm.
no, my worth belongs inside. The external doesn't always, judge whether you're good or not. But I can go like, nah, that's not good. I'm not good enough. That's the reality or whatever it might be. That day with Hand of God, I just felt super relaxed with it. I was like, I'm not the guy on the page, but let's go. I'll give you something. And I went in there. They came in, and I came in as an American. And then I think Kerry, once I left the room, like it was a test with all the people that were involved, the casting assistant came running out to the elevator and was like, "Can you come back?" And then they came and they were like, "Oh, you're English?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Do it again." It's English. And they didn't like they liked it, but they didn't like it as much. They were like, "No, American, American." And I got that role. But I remember feeling confident in that day, and I remember trying to think what was happening at that moment that made me feel that way because it was super useful. And Pitch Perfect, by the way, was the same thing. I remember like saying, guys, I'm not doing this. Well, I don't belong in that world. Like, how do I? It doesn't make sense. And then on the page, like some handsome, and I'm like, that's not that I know what they're looking for, and it's not me. I want to, but I went in, and then they called me back, and I remember telling them at the time, Max Handelman
And
and
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth,
Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
Elizabeth, and I remember it's like saying, hey, listen. I'm not your guy. This is the truth. But do you mind me? Like, do you just let me do whatever I want? Like, and they were like, sure, go ahead. And I just connected with the reader, and she was a great reader. Kerry has great, like, they have a great
Mhm.
reader. She was a great actress, and we just riffed off one another, and they got it, and they responded to it, and then they decided, all right, let's go in that direction. I gave them something else, and that worked. The one audition is okay. Because I thought of something.
Yes.
And I know this is going to sound odd because I never got it. But what it did, it changed a lot for me. There was this audition that was for a play. It was Orphans. It was Orphans. And it was Alec Baldwin ended up doing it. And it was the role that Ben Foster was that ended up doing that one of those brothers or that brother. And I remember going in, I remember taping, I remember going in, and I felt like I was good. Like I thought, nah, I'm on it. And I was doing another play in New York at the time, and I was like, yeah, I'm in that energy in the theater world here. And then I remember they were like, they either called me back in one more time or something like that. And I remember telling my manager again, and they were like, yeah, one last, I was on this, and I went in, and I remember, I think it was, yeah, I remember seeing Shia LaBeouf, and I was like, oh. Man, how am I going to get? And anyway, I remember giving a really good performance. I remember coming out and I remember telling my manager, I said to her, listen, if I don't get this is bullshit. I feel like I get, and she was like, yeah. And then 10 minutes later, she was like, no, you didn't get it. Shia LaBeouf is getting it. And I was like, fuck him, this bullshit. Like a little brat, man. And then I think 2 months or so passed and they were in rehearsals and Shia pulls out of it or doesn't end up doing it. I went off to do Mordecai. This is all happens and this is a part of me going, fuck this, I don't want to do anything anymore. And Shia LaBeouf, he releases at the time on YouTube him doing the play or like an audition. It's out there. You can see it somewhere. And I remember, and he's just sat like this, right? And there's a reader, and he's just doing the whole play. And at times he forgets his lines, and he's like, oh, no, give me that again. And then oh yeah, and then he just says it, but he doesn't stop. He's so raw, he's so unpredictable, he's so fucking good. And I remember seeing this. I call up my manager that I was like, and I said, he is way better than me. I was completely wrong. He was way better. I need to be way better than I am. I need to be way better than I am. And it also was like a lesson in be fucking raw, man. Don't stop like like just being yourself. You forget your line, you forget your line. You just, and I mean that for auditions as well. If you're on set, I have a great belief that I never stop. Even if I've got everything wrong, even if I've fallen over whatever this, I really believe the nuggets of gold are in those moments where you just stop thinking. But he managed to do this in what seemed like an audition. And that to me changed everything.
Okay. So then this will lead me, I think, into what I'm looking for tangibly. And you can choose any audition that has been a self-tape lately. Was Oppenheimer a self-tape?
Yes, Oppenheimer was a bunch of different characters, a bunch of self-tapes over a long period of time, and then boop, just all right.
Popped in one. Okay, so I ask actors this at the end of every interview. Other than reading the script, and you can use Oppenheimer if you want, any of the various auditions, or you can use any other one.
Yeah.
How do you start, especially after watching Shia, and you're like, fuck, I'm gonna get better. What are you doing to get inside story or to break character? Some people go through music route or so. I just walk me through any audition and how you went from reading it into putting it on tape, what you were doing.
I want to give you a good one, or for some reason, all the ones that come to me in any of these stories sometimes are the ones that I don't get.
100%. That also works too. Yeah. Every actor just has a different way in, and every audition is different. Every time I do an audition, the one I'm doing later, I have a different way in than the one I did yesterday.
Yeah.
But it just gives us ideas where you're like, fuck, Shia did that. I'm going to get better. Okay, what are the steps for that? Is there a coach?
Oh,
Did you employ a coach? Were you like, I'm going to fucking get better on my eye lines, or I'm going to understand script analysis and I'm going to get
good question.
Yeah.
Let me give you the general version of that first.
Great.
So like for me now, look, I believe in the work. Have I used coaches? Yeah, I've been through a lot of coaches over the years, some great little nuggets here of good stuff here and there, but I'm also, it's especially in those, it's bloody expensive. It's not cheap to have a coach, and it's not cheap to have a personal coach. And then like when you get it's a lot of money. Is it worth it? Yeah, it is a lot of the time. But sometimes, shit, if you're not independently wealthy in this business and you're starting out, I don't know how you do it. It's tough. And it's like, somehow, I don't know how I did it. Somehow I managed to press on, but
torture room, those hours of that torture room.
I was in a torture room. I know, but we also, at the time, my girlfriend at the time, we would support each other. If she was working, like she'd help me. If I were working, and it was tough. And we were both, she was from France, I was from England, and we came over to America, and so that's one thing, like coaching, amazing. If you're able to afford it and find someone who aligns with your philosophies or that ones that you can take something from. I'm a great believer, obviously, in the work. working your ass off. You get the script. All right, we got the script. Am I lucky enough to actually get the whole script so I can read it and understand the story? And as much depends on time. Like I say to my managers, I say to them, and my English, I say to them, I can't do this in 24 hours. I'm not that actor. I can't do it. I don't care how big the project is. I don't have that skill. I should try and maybe I just can't do it.
We need time.
I need time. And also, I'm much happier now that they're sending a smaller amount of pages because I'm sorry, like these 12 pages and stuff. It's again, if you're not independently wealthy and you've got to have a couple of jobs on the run and stuff like that, get all of that in your mind when they might only watch the first couple of 10 seconds, 20 seconds. I know I'm on a tangent here, but it's also another thing I've thought of that maybe that is useful. I've realized sometimes that the third scene, if there's 3 scenes, or the second scene might be a better scene for showing what you could bring to the character. So sometimes I don't do it in chronological order. I'll put the third scene as the second scene and the second scene as the first scene and go, look, here, are you engaged enough to carry on? So that's one thing. But to tell you my process now is I get it. If I'm lucky enough to get the script, which seems rare now, just going off sides, I'll just figure out what we're looking for here. And I will cram it and cram it. And the most important factor is understanding the story and where your character fits into that story. And then I'll do I'll run it with as many people as I can, like actors that I know, friends that I know, or hey, do you mind if let's just do it? And I hear it in different ways. Sometimes I play the other role and I come back to it, and then I'll break it down line by line, subtext, all that shit, and then I'll go back to it. Then I'll make up a whole bunch of stuff, and then I come back directly to what it is. And then on the day, I'm not going, okay, who is this character? What does he do? And what do they look? Nothing. I just go, all right, here's the camera. Let's just have a conversation and let's see where it goes. And hopefully, subconsciously, this has all been taken in and it will just come out in some kind of manner. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, that's exactly it. Can I pause for 1 second?
Of course.
This is exactly what the show is, like getting to hear somebody else be like, oh, that's how many times you run it. Or my favorite thing is exactly what you said, flipping and doing the other character's lines. Because I think when we sit in a pressure situation, we're so isolated and having tunnel vision. And as soon as when you read with your girlfriend, who was an actor at the time, when you read with anybody else, you immediately know what the scene is. You immediately know what needs to happen. You're not really thinking about it, and you absorb it so much quicker, and you're not putting anything on it. So I really think that's part of it. And it's just the hours. Look at the hours of time that you've had on set that you then get to pivot and do and put into the audition process. So I want to just do a couple rapid fire questions with you because you've worked with some of the gods. I want to know favorite actor you've worked with and what did you pick up?
Oh man.
And I'm going to list some while you think of this, okay?
I have to pick one?
You could pick a couple.
All right, great.
You've got obviously Johnny Depp, Gwyneth Paltrow, Ewan McGregor, Jeff Daniels. Have you guys done that film yet?
Yeah, we do. That comes out. I don't know. I think early next year. Yeah, he's cool. Like it was such a cool experience, that film. But I didn't get to have scenes with him. I wish I did. I know.
Okay, Sam Jackson, Joel Kinnaman. You've worked with everybody. Yeah. You've worked with everybody.
Man,
even on
I'm so lucky.
Look at Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob is the best, man. He is. I'm fortunate, and I'm so fortunate because and when I tell you these stories of like me not wanting to create, I feel like such an idiot because I'm so lucky and I've got to experience so much and I've got to work with people that I admire, that I've also become super close with over time and that I love. And I have these like Billy Bob. I love him, man, as a person, as an actor, obviously. And then I worked with David Thewlis and for me, he was probably my favorite actor. Before I'd met him, like him and Vincent Cassell, like these were the two guys I like, and I got to work with Thewlis, and he's the best, man. And he's a great guy. Billy Bob's a great guy. Johnny Depp was so lovely to me, and he's brilliant. I love him, and there's a lot. I feel like I'm missing out. Give me some more. Sam
Well,
Jackson was so lovely.
yeah. Was there anything that you've watched them do that you're
Yeah,
like, oh, I can do that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where you
Oh,
get a front row seat. Like I worked with Lawrence Fishburne.
yeah,
When I got to watch I was like, oh, that's
yeah,
how he threads the
yeah,
needle on certain things like that, where you pick up certain tools along the way.
yeah.
We learn from
Totally.
each other. We're not working in a vacuum. And I think once you get to see certain people do things,
Yeah, yeah.
you can
I
incorporate.
have some actors that are friends of mine that I've watched along the way that I've either done a play reading with or something like that, and I'll go, that's amazing. Like Walton Goggins or Sam Rockwell or like these, and they're honestly, all of these guys have one thing in common. They all work their asses off. They all work their asses off and then pretend like it's easy when it comes to it. That's what I'm talking about. And they've mastered that. And when I get to watch them, they take risks, man. They take risks. They know the character inside out and they know the dialogue inside out. And that allows for them to have the freedom to take those risks. And it's really hard for me to pick one because I love them all. And I genuinely, I haven't had like a bad experience with one of them. They're all great. I feel like I'm missing someone
No, but
in
I
this
think
list,
even
but
just
like,
what you said, like there is a work ethic, and I think that's what Keith was trying to say, that like he
right.
has a work ethic around
Yeah.
he's no audition slides past him. Like everyone, he is more prepared than anybody else. And I
Oh,
think
that's
that
nice of
that's
him.
what,
Yeah.
is being carried over, that you're watching other people. Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
effortless, but you don't know the 12
Yeah.
hours of script analysis that they've just done, the amount of
Beyond.
times.
Yeah. I
Yes.
think that's the only thing that is in your control is the amount of effort and work you put in it. Does that make you better? No, not necessarily. But if it's like being an athlete, something it's like the only thing you can have the ability in it, but what you can control is the work and the effort that you put into it. And I can promise you, those names that you mentioned are the hardest workers I've come across. And
Mhm.
they hide it sometimes. They don't always let us show that they're doing it, but man, they really do. And that's what gives them the freedom. And I'm just lucky enough, like even I want to, it's like funny that you're doing this interview. So I'm thinking of your questions. I want to ask you, and what's your philosophy and or how do you go about it? Or I'd love to see a tape of yours because I'd love to be able to maybe steal something from you. Like you go,
Exactly,
I like
right?
that. I want to
Like
bring
that.
that into
Mhm.
it. But yeah, I think I say is like the hard work, and then that will give you the freedom for creativity. And all you can do is just give a little part of yourself. A friend of mine, she's an actress. She called me this morning, weirdly enough, and she was like down to the wire on something, and she's like, can't believe I didn't get it, like this and that. I go, look, this is just the part of what it. She goes, yeah, but I gave it everything, and I go, I know, but that will eventually pay off
It
when
always
you
does.
sit with it, and sometimes in a way they either don't expect or it doesn't even seem justified, like it doesn't make sense, but it's the work that you put in.
I don't think
Like,
any of
yeah,
that work, I call it the hours. None of that work goes, it doesn't disappear.
that's
Them
right.
getting another character, something like that, where she's already done the work, she can transmute it immediately.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
know who has seen that tape. You don't know who
yeah.
has seen that tape for that work or where that goes
Sure.
next.
Yeah, I can
Um,
tell you one thing. Like before, there was when I first started out there, and I think it was like my second audition or something was some like an NBC thing, and I'd never done. I didn't really understand the difference between network TV, cable TV, all of that stuff, which you had to understand at the time because there was different rhythm and timing to things, or you're working towards a commercial break or whatever it was. And there was an NBC thing, and that came to me, and I was like, and my manager was like, read for this role, and I read it, and I was like, I could play like three of those different ones. So I did all three characters and I didn't hear anything. No, no, I didn't get. And then weirdly enough, months later, we got a call from NBC go, hey, would he be interested in doing a tape for SNL? And it was because they had seen me do three different characters at the time. And I was like,
yeah.
what? No, I don't do that. But I ended up doing it actually.
You
And
did
and
the
it was
audition?
I did it, yeah, and it went pretty well. Because at first I was like, nah, man, that's not my world. But then I was like, I came up, I had all these ideas for characters in my head, and what fits in with this, the context of what you're talking about, is that one of them was that I wrote this, to go back to where we started in this conversation, is that I wrote this skit or this scene about It was called The All American. And I wrote this monologue about a political monologue about an American guy who had been in like Roosevelt and then what it meant to be an American, and it got him, and it was emotional. And what the skit is that there's four actors. One is an English guy, one is an Australian, one is a French actor, and one is an American actor. And I play all the four, and they're doing this one monologue in an audition room. And so one comes in, the English guy is super charming. He brings like a gift to the casting director, and he barely knows his lines, but he's charming and they love him. And then the Australian comes in, he's just like fucking aggressive and like, no, I don't want to fucking do this and this. And they're like, I love him. And then there's a French actor, because I think like the artist is going, and he's just a mute. And he's like this, and he doesn't even say the monologue, but they love him. And then this American comes in, and he's brilliant, and he's just so full of heart and emotion. They're like, you're shit, get out of here, or something like this. And at the time, to go back to what we were saying at the beginning, it was just the kind of poking fun at the idea that if you are from the UK or Australia or wherever else in the world, that for some reason that you're seen as, wow, they must have amazing training, they must have like this. And it's bullshit, man. It's nonsense. There's amazing American actors and there's amazing European, Australian actors. And I think it was just poking fun at that idea.
I'm glad you have a sense of humor about it, because you're really
man.
you're really fucking good. And
I
it's
know, I
really
don't know,
fun
man,
to
thank
watch.
you.
No, look, I mean, the last question I had is, what's one
Sure.
thing that you wish more eyeballs would see that you've done? Because there's a list. So you tell me,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you want to shout out other than all the things you have coming out currently?
Man, I don't. There's a few things that just went under the nobody. Like I did a German film once. I was like, oh man, that turned out good. I wish somebody would see this. Die Habe nicht. Good luck finding that. And then you know what? I'll tell you this one. There's a TV show. A few people seen it, and sometimes people come and go, man, why did that show go away? It was called Counterpart, and it was a really cool show, and it just got 2 seasons, that show. But man, I feel that should have had more eyeballs. That was Justin Marks who did Shogun. That was his first thing. And I'd say that there's probably stuff that I'm not even thinking of right now, or little indie flicks or something like that. But I'd say Counterpart is always the one I'm going, that was quality. Not for me, like just for the show. J.K. Simmons is
Brilliant.
Dynamite in it. Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's off the top of my head. There's probably something off this conversation I'll go.
Yeah, email me later. We'll put it in.
Yeah.
This was a joy. You're an absolute delight. Thank you for doing this in the dark streets of New York.
I know. I live in, I don't pay my electricity bills. This is why.
Right. Things are going great.
It's like this. It started off light and then it just
did.
Right.
Where can everybody find you and follow along, other than just seeing you in a million things that you have coming out? But
what do you mean, my address?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to show up and bring you some lights. No, are you on social?
Oh yeah, no, okay, yeah. I don't have any social media. I've never, I know. We probably should have discussed that along the way.
No, I'm so glad. Good for you. So tune in.
So where can you find me? You can't. You can't find me. I'm
Stay mysterious.
I don't know. Like I probably should, and I don't. I think it's a wonderful tool, and I think it's magic, and I think people should use it. I'm just like, I can't even turn on my lights, so
it's not good for the brain. Keep your brain nice and pure.
Yeah.
And ready for work.
I think so.
This was a delight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.